All right, a quick look at big protests by Bengalurians on the Supreme Court's decision on stray dogs. A massive demonstration took place at Bengaluru's Freedom Park as over 250 citizens who gathered at the Freedom Park in Bengaluru protesting against the Supreme Court's decision on street dogs to be moved out of public spaces. The order, which mandates the removal of community dogs from public institutions like schools and hospitals, has sparked serious concern among animal welfare groups, volunteers and pet owners. Protesters also included activists and actor Aindrita Ray and several NGOs that warned that this ruling could actually worsen public health risks and dismantle the progress of the long-running animal birth control program. If I could play out those visuals for you there, the protests, a little of the audio to listen to what people have said as they raise slogans.
We're here because of the Supreme Court directive to relocate dogs from bus shelters, train stations, hospitals, educational institutions and sports complexes. This is a retrograde order, unfortunately. This is going back on something that is being done quite well in terms of the ABC ARV focus of all states as per, again, the Supreme Court directive. We are here to ensure that the government of Karnataka, as in most other governments, should listen to the voice of reason, to listen to the voice of science, and ensure that what is done as per a compassionate, sensible focus, rather than this very reactive and very unfortunate purpose of removing dogs who are already fed, neutered, quite calm, not aggressive, and creating a vacuum effect, creating a huge burden on the exchequer. Please don't forget that every single dog that has been neutered and vaccinated at a cost of maybe 2,500 or 3,000 rupees per dog is now going to cost the state ₹1 lakh per year, not one time, but per year, to keep in these shelters. This is something we're ready for. I'm not even talking about the compassion element, which is the unfortunate thing of seeing dogs being picked up. Most of them will die before they reach these shelters. They will be injured, affected, and terribly, terribly sad there. But we will be sad too, as their caretakers, as their feeders, as people who have invested our lives in making sure that not only are these dogs safe, but human-animal coexistence is achieved. That can be done only when there's 100% neuter and vaccination. And I promise you that most of us in animal welfare are working towards that objective, as well as compassion for the animals. Human-animal coexistence is the bedrock of all the effort that we have put in. Cost, compassion, implementation, logistics, these are all the reasons why we cannot have this happen. And we must follow the voice of reason, the voice of sense, the voice of compassion, and the previous judgments that the Supreme Court, in their wisdom, has put into place.
Bangalore unites today to protest and bring attention against the Supreme Court ruling, which is just not inhumane and cruel, but impractical to implement on the ground. Bangalore shows its sorrow and anguish and requests the Supreme Court of India to take back this judgment.
Yes, yes! No shelters, no pounds! 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 हमारा नहीं, हमारा है! हमारा नहीं, हमारा है! No dogs, no votes! No dogs, no yes!
Now, the central argument is that removing sterilized and vaccinated community dogs from their established territories will create a vacuum. And this void, they argue, will simply be filled by unvaccinated dogs from adjacent areas, thereby increasing the risk of diseases like rabies. Demonstrators empathetically pointed out that the current ABC rules legally require dogs to be released back to their exact area that they were picked from, and after being sterilized and vaccinated, they should be let back to their territories, basically. The BSP State General Secretary Arun Prasad stated that the court's directive directly contradicts these existing laws. NGOs also raised serious questions regarding shelter capacity and the ability of multiple bodies to execute mass pickups, especially when routine sterilization and vaccination drive already faces manpower and infrastructure challenge. Activists now urging that civic authorities be focused instead on ABC programs instead of actually moving out these dogs entirely into shelters when there is no infrastructure.